Hi, my name is Thomas Morrow. I'm a student at Utah Valley University, a proud Toyota Prius owner, and I'm here to talk to you today about alternative and sustainable energy sources for the United States of America. The other day I posed a question to myself as I was walking through the school of what would be some of the things that I would miss if they suddenly were gone. And one of those, besides my beautiful wife, was electricity, the ability to walk into a house, flip on a light, and get as much done during the day and the night. They're equal, that I can get as much done during either the night or the day. And that led me to think, where does most of our energy come from? As United States citizens, most of our power, 63% of our power, comes from the consumption of fossil fuels. Burning of coal, petroleum, and other gases, whether they're natural or synthetic gases. 63% of all of our energy in the United States is coming from fossil fuels. That leaves another 37% from other sources, and we'll go over those sources and why they are not being utilized, as well as why they should be utilized more. But first, fossil fuels. What we're using currently is a very reliable source of energy. Fossil fuels, again, are ancient materials that we have found if we burn this will yield a great amount of energy to be able to power buildings, cars, offices, you name it, used at the residential level. Like we discussed before, 63% of the time when you flip on a light switch, it will probably be coming from fossil fuel sources. Now, the pros of this is, like we discussed before, it's very reliable. It's been tried and true for years and years and years of a source of energy. The cons of this is there's a lot of greenhouse gases emitted. As fossil fuels are burned, it releases toxins into the air, and that's across the board, no matter what is using that, whether it's a car, a building, a factory, whatever. Those pollutants are emitted into the atmosphere. We're no strangers to that here in Utah. We all get the smog in the valley during the wintertime when pressure's low. We see more of that here. The other 37% of the United States energy is coming from these sources here. About 20% from nuclear power, 5 to 8% from both hydropower or hydroelectric power and wind power. And last but not least, 3 to 5% of the United States energy is coming from solar sources or the sun. So nuclear power. A little bit about nuclear power and why we're not using it so much, or maybe some of the cons of nuclear power today. There's a large fear and stigma behind nuclear power. Since the time of World War II and the development of the nuclear bomb, there has been a large fear behind using nuclear power as a energy source. It is not a, per se, sustainable source of energy. It's an alternative form because there are sources that you still need to burn or use to create that power. So eventually that stuff will run out. But it is 91% more efficient than any other source of energy, meaning 1 ounce of nuclear material that's used to produce power is 91% more effective than a fossil fuel. Meaning you can use a lot less and produce a lot more energy to create and power cities. France is 97% powered by nuclear energy. They have 3 large plants there, and it powers basically their entire country, which is a great source for them because it emits 0 greenhouse gases. There's no negative effects produced into the air from the production of nuclear energy. However, one of the cons of nuclear energy is you do have to dispose of that nuclear waste after it has been used up. So I'm a big fan of nuclear energy. I think that it's very effective and that we should be utilizing it more. Hydropower or hydroelectric power, the use of water and a flow of water specifically to turn turbines to create energy. It's a great source of energy that is used throughout the United States. I spent 5 years of my life living in Juneau, Alaska. That entire town is landlocked. So you can either get there by plane or by boat. You can't drive in. That whole town, a population of about 32,000, is entirely powered by hydroelectric energy. There's a large river, the Taku River, has a large power plant there that powers the entire city. We had an avalanche actually while we were living there take out some of those power lines, and that actually affected our power bill because we had to switch to city generators that were being used to power the city. So some of the cons there, it is a lot less reliable than, let's say, fossil fuels or nuclear power because you are dependent on the elements. However, where there is water, there will be power, which is a great source for places with a lot of flowing water and streams. Wind power, those of you who have driven down to Spanish Fork, Mapleton area have seen the large wind turbines that are down there. And that is something that the United States utilizes. They'll actually pay you to have those turbines on your land. So if you are a farmer and you have land, you might want to consider looking into that. But that is another very volatile source of energy because you are completely reliant on the wind to spin the windmills to create the energy that you need to be produced. However, it has zero greenhouse gases that are emitted from the production of that. There is, however, a little bit of a startup cost for that unless you go through the government and have a lot of land to use that with. Both wind and hydroelectric power can be hazards to the ecosystems in which they're in. Wind, the aerial birds and other things can be a risk, as well as any sort of source with hydroelectric power. If you make a dam, it can cause problems in the environment, the ecosystem there. Last but not least, solar power surprisingly came in at the least amount used by the United States. However, I think that this is one that we can definitely all utilize more. It's very accessible at the residential level, meaning you can go out and buy that and put them on your house and completely generate your own energy. It puts money back into your wallet a lot of times by not having to pay, Rocky Mountain Power or other sources for your power that's using coal and fossil fuels to burn to make electricity, as well as there's zero greenhouse gases emitted and a very low maintenance cost. However, solar panels, if you're not living in somewhere that has the sun a lot, you will not benefit from solar power. This is something that's completely reliant on our beautiful sun, our beautiful star that we have in our solar system. However, it is a very effective way to produce energy. Long story short, what does the future hold? I think that future of the United States of America can be brighter as we utilize alternative forms of energy, not only on a government level, but also at a residential level, doing our own part to do what we can to make the switch to renewable and reliable energy. So again, thank you, and I urge you to do your part, and thank you very much.